Hi, everybody. Today is February 19th, 2025. I hope everybody's doing well. I'd like to address a few things. First of all, people who are screaming that Elon Musk does not have the right to do what he's doing, he does. He was appointed to the office of the Department of Government Efficiency. Secondly, for those who are going around saying that Elon Musk is not a citizen of the United States, you're wrong. He has been a citizen of this country since 2002. And also in the 90s or so, he had top government security clearance for the projects that he does work on. You also need that type of clearance if you're working with anything space related. I'm having a great time laughing at all the freakouts from the Democratic Party. Now, when I used to be a Democrat, when I turned 18, and I joined as a Democrat Party member, back then, the Democrats cared about the everyday working class people. But when Obama had ran for his second term, I stopped voting because I saw that, one, my vote really didn't count. And two, I was seeing all the corruption, all the lies. I was seeing how the Democratic Party wasn't what it used to be. And I believe it was in 2023 or early 2024 is when I left and signed up to be a Republican. I'm not a hardcore conservative. I do have a lot of conservative values, but at the same time, I also have an open mind. And even though I may not agree with somebody with their opinion or their point of view, doesn't mean I'm going to act like a dumbass and do some name calling like, a third grader. That's childish. To be an adult means that if I have a different opinion than you, I'm going to look at it this way. Look, we can just agree to disagree. Because your opinion's right for you, my opinion's right for me, and I'm not going to sit there and berate you and tell you that you're wrong. I'm not going to sit there and waste my time trying to convince you, even though I may have all the proof and all the evidence to prove I'm right. I'm not going to do that because you're already set in your opinion. And everybody's free to think what they like. We have free speech. However, that does not give somebody the right to resort to stupidity and to sink so low that they have to call other people names. That's unacceptable. You're supposed to be a person that's an adult. Grow the hell up for one. And what I found very disturbing is yesterday when I was on X, I saw that there was a video from a TikToker who stated that Elon and our current president um, should be unalived. So I went out of my way to contact the AG's office as well as the FBI headquarters where I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and gave them the link to that video. And what's funny is other people have been on there and made comments about, that the death penalty should be used on child molesters and those who are traitors to this country. Now, historically speaking, our country has executed traitors to our country. And there was something that somebody made a post about Mayorkas or something and him being a traitor and what should be done with him. And my comment was that he should be arrested and convicted as a traitor and executed. Then I get an email from X telling me that I was in violation for what I said. And yet they allowed that video on there, outright calling for the execution of our president and Elon Musk. I'm happy that what Elon Musk is doing. He has found so much waste and so much fraud and abuse of the taxpayer dollars and these Democrats are literally flipping out because they know eventually they could end up with felony charges. And as far as that woman, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the Somalian woman, she has no right to sit in a congressional seat because she is not a U.S. citizen. Only U.S.-born citizens should be able to hold any high office, any elected office, period. And what her and AOC have been doing by creating videos and instructing these illegal people that were here in our country on how to avoid deportation is an outright obstruction of justice. You're impeding what the federal office of ICE is doing by orders of the United States president. They should be stripped of their seat and they should be arrested and convicted. Because the way I look at it, they're traitors to this country. And anybody, I don't care whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Libertarian or an Independent, and you're sitting up there in the Senate or the Congress, and you're a traitor to this country, you don't have the right to sit in that seat. Now, the will of the people has been spoken. We elected a new president. And all the other things that Biden has done was not legal. And these Democrats are sitting here, hollering, oh, well, nobody's above the law. Apparently they were. Apparently they thought they were above the law because they were doing all kinds of stuff and getting away with it because they knew nobody would do anything about it. If you are a senator or a congressperson, a vice president, a president, you need to adhere to the laws of this country, and you need to adhere to the laws of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The people that were in office, the previous administration, in case y'all did, they were trying to take every one of our rights away. The freedom to speak. They were going to try to take our guns from us. They were going to literally obliterate and get rid of the Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Now, I don't trust politicians. Let me tell you something about politicians. And I don't care whether they're Democrat or Republican or Libertarian or Independent. They're all about power and control. And they want a one world government and one world religion. They want to be able to tell us what we can and cannot buy, what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot say, and they want to enslave everybody. And that's not the kind of world I prefer to live in. I mean, if you look at European countries, take the UK, for example, people who are Christians that pray in their home can be arrested for praying in their home. If they happen to be standing on the street and they say a prayer, maybe they're going for a job interview or whatever, they can be arrested for that too. Is that the kind of world you want to live in? Because I sure as the hell don't. And people that are able-bodied, that have been abusing the Section 8 and the Medicaid and the food stamps, if you're not disabled and you're not a senior, then you need to get up off your ass and go to work and get a job. Because the taxpayers, the American people, are tired of paying for your lazy ass and paying for you to lay on your ass, spreading your legs, and popping out kids. We're done. Another thing I'd like to see the president do is get rid of no-fault divorce. And I'd like to also see him implement in all 50 states mandatory DNA testing at the time of birth. Because too many men are on child support paying for a kid that's not even theirs, or more than one kid that's not even theirs. And that should be made a felony. And not only should they have to do prison time for that, but they should also be made to pay that back. And those who are committing fraud on Social Security, that's a felony, for one. For two, you should be able to do prison time for that. And three, you should be made to pay that money back. Now, it is rare but not very many people live to be 110 years old. And for Social Security to sit there and say that there's people over the age of 110 and that there are people that are 200 and 300 years old still alive, that's bullshit. It's a lie. There is not one human on this earth that's alive that's 200 or 300 years old. Back in the days of Noah, people lived to be that old. Some even lived to be 800 years old. But that was back then. But that's not today. Most people don't even live to be centenarians. Most of them die in their 90s, between 70 and 90 years old. Now, Trump is not a Nazi, for all y'all who are saying that he is. Trump is not a dictator. Y'all are lying. Trump and Elon care about this country. They love this country. And they are trying to save this country from going bankrupt. Yes, tariffs is going to drive the price up of everything. But we already had high inflation because of what Biden did. And because we were having to support all of these people coming in here because he opened the borders to everybody. And a lot of these people that were here were dangerous criminals. A lot of them were terrorists from Iraq and Iran, China, and they were not vetted. I am not against somebody coming here who wants a better life, but you need to do it the proper way. You need to file the paperwork. You need to be properly vetted. You need to go through the classes for citizenship. Take that test and then get your citizenship. But how many families out there whose college kids that were off at college were murdered? How many high school kids were murdered or young kids that were murdered or kidnapped and trafficked into sexual slavery? How many of these kids were done that way because of these illegal people? Think about it. What if it was your kid? Would you be hollering that you want to plead for these illegals not to be deported then? And another thing, okay, I'm bi, and I know for a fact a lot of the people I know in the LGBTQ community were upset and did not appreciate the agenda being shoved down everybody's throats. I know I don't. And just because I'm bi doesn't mean I bring anybody else into my relationship. And I certainly don't step outside my relationship. I have been 100% faithful to my husband for the last 10 years of our marriage, which we just recently celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary on February 14th. We need to bring back prayers in school, the Pledge of Allegiance in school. Our kids don't need to be taught transgender crap. They don't need to be taught this critical race theory. They need math and science, reading, English, writing. I mean, I've seen some videos on YouTube where a lot of these kids, if you asked them, you know, what continent is whatever, or what country, like they asked where South America is or where Brazil is. A lot of them were saying, oh, I think Brazil's in Europe. That tells you something about our education system. We are at the bottom rank compared to the rest of the world in education. Our kids can't compete with Chinese people. Our kids cannot compete with the kids in Japan. And that's a scary thought because a lot of the kids graduating today can't read, can't write, can't form paragraphs or sentences correctly, can't spell correctly, their grammar and their punctuation is not right. I mean, seriously. And I mean, and it makes me ashamed to say I'm an American. And another thing that pisses me off, okay, is I've been hearing about reparations for people who were slaves that were brought here from Africa. Okay, now let me educate you on something. White people were also slaves. There isn't a race on this planet who weren't slaves. Jews were slaves. Romans were slaves. Greeks were slaves. White people in England were slaves. There were slaves in France, Germany. Also, Native American Indians. We've had so many treaties with the white man that were constantly broken. Our people were slaughtered. Our people were enslaved. Women were great, because I can't say the actual word or YouTube will flag my video. I mean, even Native American peoples were enslaved by white people. But you don't hear us griping and calling for reparations to be paid to us. You don't see us demanding to take back our lands that your homes and your businesses sit on. And a lot of the white people today, what their forefathers did in the past, they had nothing to do with, so they shouldn't be punished. Well, that's all I got for today, people. Stay blessed, and God bless America.